Well, everybody, welcome back. Here we are, the end of another year. 2023 is coming to a close. 2024 is just around the corner. I hope everyone had a wonderful year. I know mine was a pretty good year. If you've been with me for a while, you'll know I hiked part of the Appalachian Trail, which was part of a goal that I had set for myself. And I just kind of thought I'd share some photos of the year, kind of look back. I'd like to hear some of your comments on what your favorite parts of your last year has been. You know, I think looking back kind of serves a purpose. Lets us kind of review what we could have done better or what turned out really well. Helps us set goals for the future. And I think all in all, it's a good thing to kind of reminisce a little bit, as long as you don't just get caught in it all the time. As long as you don't try to live in the past. But anyway, I thought I'd share some photos here, and then when I'm done, at the end of the photos, I would like to kind of share a few things I've learned this year. And I'd be curious to hear a few things that you have also learned this past year. Well, as the year began, I did a lot of hiking around in the Ozarks, doing some exploring, practicing so I'd be ready for the trail. As late January and early February came around, we got a real cold spell, so I did some winter camping just to get ready for my time on the trail. Because that came in March. My son drove me out to Amicalola Falls. I got to see the arch, got my tag, did a little training session, and eventually headed up those stairs at Amicalola Falls. And we got to get underway. My son hiked with me the first day up to Springer Mountain. I had waited quite some time to see that plaque on that rock. I was sure excited to be there and ready to start my adventure. One of my bucket list items, I guess you could call it, for on the trail was to see the frost in the trees and over the mountaintops like I'd seen before on videos. And my chance came this day, hiking over the top of the mountains. Everything was covered in frost. It was absolutely stunning, although a little cold up there that day and windy. As the days and weeks went on, I got accustomed to sleeping in these shelters, just basically hiking shelter to shelter. This is one of the nicest ones on the trail. It's actually pretty much enclosed, but that just became part of life. This is one of those moments I'll probably never forget. This is just a beautiful section of trail It was pretty early in the morning. The sun was low on the horizon, really nice and clear. This was up on a mountain ridge up above Nanthahala Outdoor Center, and just magnificent views. A wonderful way to wake up and get the blood pumping in the morning is to hike something like that. Here we arrived and crossed Fontana Dam and entered the Smoky Mountains. Smoky Mountains were really interesting. I thought it was an interesting perspective hiking through them. I have driven there and visited them before, but just hiking through them and the views, and you just really get a more feel for the land that way. And I think it was about 6 or 7 days, maybe 6 days to get through the Smokies, and got to be up here on Klingman's Dome, where I'd met other hikers in the past. It was just really an interesting section of the trail, I thought. Along through this part of the Smoky Mountains is where Butch, who I was originally hiking with, he got injured and had to get off trail. But it was also along in here that I met Buzzsaw, and we ended up hiking all the way to Virginia together. This is also not far from here is where you come down, cross the river, and you hit Davenport Gap. And that marks the end of the Smokies, and you're not up in such high elevation after this point. Of course, town days were always nice too. This was a super nice place I stayed in Hot Springs, I believe it was. And we headed out of there, and I think through there is when things really started greening up at the lower elevations that we were at. I was just amazed by this large oak tree here alongside the road, and the grass started getting greener. Of course, you still spent time up in the mountains where it was brown, but for the most part, spring really just started coming out as we left Hot Springs. This was coming down into Irwin, Tennessee, where we had spent a couple days, and it was soon after this that my knees really started falling apart pretty bad. it was kind of the beginning of the end, I guess you could say. I was still enjoying every day, and as you can see, some days were still cold, but it was when my knees really started bothering me. But physically I was in pain, but mentally I was still enjoying it. The scenery, and this is also the section where you start getting on top of some of the balds and stuff, and it just really is a beautiful section of trail. While I did get to see the AT barn on one of my last days, this would prove to be one of my last tent pitches, as the next day I would cross the Virginia line and head down the mountain into Damascus, Virginia, which marks the 470-mile point on the trail, not counting the original 7 to get up to Springer Mountain. While I was glad to see Damascus, it was also where I had to pull the plug on my trip, which was a sad day. Here I am explaining that I had to get off trail due to knee injury. I was not looking forward to that, but it's all part of life. And like I said, I enjoy every day I was out there. When I got home, I was glad to be around family. Back on the homestead, it was kind of bittersweet. Being home, being around family, it was great, but missing the trail still at the same time. But now that we're back on the homestead, we're doing a lot of cleaning up, working on the infrastructure, working on the chicken coop, getting ready to put a good garden in for next year, those sort of things, running the sawmill. So it's nice to be home also. Well, everyone, that was pretty much my year in review. It was a good year and all. I got to do part of the trail, and now kind of some things I've learned over the past year. And one of those is, okay, as you may know, I set out to do the entire Appalachian Trail, which is 2,200 miles, give or take. I was not able to complete that. I made it just shy of 500 miles. And for my age, I'm proud of that. That's not bad. But I did learn that, I've known people that have tried and they've failed halfway through and they chalk it up as a failure, and it really isn't. I learned you have to take every day as a gift when you're out there on the trail. You don't know when your last day is going to be, so live each one like it is your last. My knees started bothering me, and I was not able to continue. I was blessed that that was the only real issue I had, but they became such an issue I couldn't go on. They hurt for quite a while after I got back home also. But just kind of one of the things I learned along the way is be thankful for every day. That morning you get up and you see the sunrise over the mountains, you can't ask for a better way to wake up in the morning. Or that morning and afternoon that I hiked over the mountains and they were covered in frost. Beautiful. Physically, it was hard. Comfort-wise anyway, it was cold. But mentally, it was beautiful. I wouldn't trade that for the world. The people I met along the way, hiked with Butch, hiked with Buzzsaw, for quite a while. Met a lot of wonderful people. I kind of wish now I'd taken more photos of the people I hiked around, because that's kind of the connections that you make is what you remember a lot of. So that would be one of my takeaways. Live each day and appreciate each day for what it is. Another thing is I watched a lot of videos, hiking videos and stuff before I left. And one day I was watching this guy. He has Frozen. He has a channel. I think it's Outdoor Adventures, something like that. And he was talking to a guy, an elderly guy, that ended up hiking the trail. But he was telling him, you know, the guy was saying, "Now I got this dream. I want to do this one day." And he asked him, he's like, "Why are you waiting? What are you waiting for?" You know, there's never going to be the perfect time. And as you get a little older, like me, waiting 5 more years is not a guarantee you're going to be healthy enough to do it. So I think just being spontaneous, how's that, is important. What do they say? You can get analysis paralysis, where you just overthink it. I think sometimes you got to make it happen. You know, nobody's going to do it for you. You got to make it happen. So that was one of the big takeaways I had from this last year. And of course, the appreciation of family and home. When I got home, when you're out there, you miss family. You sure do. And our family's pretty close. So I miss them a lot. And it was good to be back home for them, to be here with them. So coming up, we have a couple more videos with my older brother. He's going to come down. We're going to start some seeds, talk about how and when to start seeds. He's real good at that. He has a little homestead up in the northern part of the Ozarks. And so we're going to talk to him, do an episode, maybe 2 with him. So all in all, it's been a good year. I hope y'all have had a good year. I'd love to hear about, you know, your year and what you've learned over the past year and such. But I hope y'all have a great week, and I hope to see y'all down the trail.